Resume recording. Okay, we are recording. All right. Hello, everybody. This is a new experience for me. And, like a lot of people who do training, action is better than getting ready to be perfect before you action. And I'm just jumping in because, hey, we're all imperfect and we're doing the best we know how. So I have with me already Dolores in Colorado. She's followed me for the last couple of years with a loneliness to resilience group. And so we know each other quite well. She's going to help me as we go through this process for the hour of courageous reflection circle. I'm kind of planning on doing about 3 weeks worth of these. And whether I do like 5 a week or 3 a week or whatever, I haven't quite figured all that out yet. But I am 78. I brag about it. I'm a behavioral scientist and I love bringing out the best in people. And I'm especially, my hot button since I was a teenager was potential. Like what's my potential? I wonder where it's hiding. And then I said, well, where's Bob, my brother Bob? What's his potential? I was like, I wonder how we find it. Well, that's what I'm here to do with retirees. I feel like all our free time in retirement is untapped potential for the most part. And when I was writing my book, Fresh Courage in Retirement, I referred quite a bit to Ken Dykewald's book, What Retirees Want. And
Mm.
he says in there, um, suggests a number of things that could be improved in serving boomers and retirees. So, this is an effort to start making some tracks, introducing people to what could be possible. And I love curiosity and courage. And I listened to a video last night that actually talked about how significant it is that when you're curious, it makes a lot of difference in how you thrive and your longevity and what you consider is possible. Well, there's a new word out there called possibilitarian. That could be me.
New title.
And I want to make you part of that group. But anyway, I okay, so I was raised on a farm. I grew up milking cows and stacking hay and putting up with the trauma that was in our home for decades. And I hid because of that trauma. I decided that if I buckled down and focused, if I was obedient, if I was let's see, obedient. Anyway, I it'll not rock the boat. Yeah, I had to ask God this week, forgive me for lying because I didn't want to rock the boat. Because my mom had us get up like 5 o'clock one morning and everybody got outside and said, well, I want you to vote on whether dad should stay or go. And I can still feel that sense in my body of course he should go. But I said, no, he should stay. And I've just recently asked my subconscious to reconnect me with the free spirit I was conceived with. And I'm putting on a new persona to oh, and the other thing I did even more recently was hate the 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 abuse that was going on in our home. And I'm such a good Christian lady that I, getting angry. I remember in my 20s, what do I do with this anger? I don't get angry. Well, I actually used AI that said, I asked about hate and anger, and it informed me that there's a healthy kind of anger. So I'm coming in contact with that, and I think it seems to be opening me up to more of my emotions. So I'm going to be talking about feeling invisible because that happens a lot in retirement. Anyway, I was the middle of five on the farm, and now I'm the oldest of three because my oldest brother and sister have passed on. But um, I have done this little video that you might have seen. I posted yesterday that what's missing besides a paycheck. And let me share my other screen of how I'm practicing. I mean, what I'm planning in the future is like maybe if I do 5 days a week, asking a different kind of question each day, and then maybe on Friday do a little bit of teaching because I have quite a story to tell about um, mental strength and things like that. So, and of course, there it's meant to um, lead my audience because my audience is doing a nice job of growing and see let you know what else we could do going forward. And I think talking in a community is a great way to start. So the title that we're pursuing today, let's see, maybe I have another picture here. Seems like I do. Yeah, all right. I could show that another picture. And let's see if that works. You see just a pink circle there with my logo. Okay. So I was in, I think I might have been at Boeing, but there was a classroom of people, and this lady asked, um, what's missing besides a paycheck? And I thought, I love that question. And the shock was that she came up with 34 answers as people contributed what they sensed was either something that uh, not necessarily they were experiencing, maybe their husband, maybe their cousin, maybe their mom and dad. And some of the 34 answers were pretty similar, but at coaches, we're taught to use the exact words that people are actually saying. So as we consider this conversation getting rolling, maybe there's some things that surprised you. The surprise I had was, how do I know if I'm productive? Oh, that's right. There's no boss to please anymore. Um, what matters now might enter into this um, discussion today or in some of the next ones. What do you need would be something else that we could talk about. And I want you to share your perspective, your experience, and maybe even your attitude, because life kind of starts with mindset and attitudes. So let's have a discussion and see what's happening on your side. So what do you want to contribute to what I prompted with my little uh, visual aids here of what's missing besides a paycheck? And so, oh yeah, so I'm using this as an example of your business card. Um, it's missing when your paycheck goes missing. It used to tell you who you were and what your title was and where people could reach you at work. And it might connect you to some of your clients, colleagues, that kind of thing. So let's have a discussion here. We have George here, and George has been a wonderful support. And George, I have not had support from my family. It dawned on me here when I was listening to this video about curiosity and how that kind of makes us different. And I think I must have been curious at 5 years old or something. But I'm starting now to realize that what makes me unique is also my superpower. How novel understanding. All right. And George is in Ohio, and I love how he's supporting me, and so does Dolores. We've been through 2 years of loneliness to resilience, where I was taking a stab at creating community there. So let's have a talk. What's missing besides a paycheck, Dolores?
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, I think for me, it's not just about the paycheck or it's about accountability. I haven't, having to be accountable to my team or to someone. Now I don't. I have a sense of, before we started this, when you sent out your LinkedIn, I had like three questions, that I thought maybe we would cover is this kind of an accountability? Because right now I don't have to be accountable. If I don't do it today, it'll get done tomorrow. So there's a lack of structure, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
I've tried defining objectives and plans for myself, but I also have to think of my husband, what he wants and what he needs to do and what, so in his timing. So I struggle with that. I've been wanting to write my book. I've started it and then stop and start and stop. And I've not done that. And then I think, should I review my progress daily or weekly or monthly? I was just in a session earlier this week where we did meditation and trying to find just what am I supposed to be? I'm 73 years old. What am I going to do? I hope I have lots of life. I love to exercise. I love to run. My body doesn't want to part cooperate like it used to, but I still try to get out. But I have to get life beyond that. And having moved, from the West Coast out here and then Chicago, because we split our time between the Midwest and here, it's kind of unsettled me. I had a routine, I had a thing, where I'd get up and go work out, go to mass, and I had a structure. And then I do contract work. The last project I did was in 23, 24. And so I haven't done anything. I belong to another group. We started during COVID, but they're a lot younger than I am, probably 20, 30 years younger than I am. But I still participate when I can. And if I'm traveling, I don't. But there's a missing, a loneliness, a longing where I want to be able to contribute. And I've tried here. I live in a community where there are a lot of activities, but I just can't get myself in. So that's what I'm struggling with. And I hope that by listening to you and George and others that might join us later, that hopefully we'll get clarity around that. I don't know if that was what you're looking for, Sharon, or
Sure, sure. That's what's real for you, and that's what I want to hear. Yeah, yeah. So George, what comes up for you when what's missing besides a paycheck?
Well, if the real answer is you. So what opened my eyes and my thoughts and my concerns was you. Before that, I was lost. I retired right in the middle of COVID, and so there was really already isolation, but there
Yeah,
was there was no preparation for that. So this has been enlightening. It's kind of cleared my mind to where and how and what that I want to do. And, and I think it really, to be honest with you, is Dolores, I don't think you ever find that right thing. I think it continuously evolves. And that's what I'm always doing is I'm kind of re-evolving all the time and looking how it can grow. There, one of the things that Sharon had challenged early on to me was to get 10% of the senior population involved. And I spent a month in the hospital with a after a massive heart attack, and I got to see firsthand in their minds and then, I mean in their eyes and in their expressions is the emptiness that they were going through. And I mean, I remember walking up and down the hallways and being I think my wife would say I was being rambunctious. I was always challenging everybody. So I think that's for me, it's continuously looking how to reinvent. Like Dolores, you looked at I that's what I did. I'm 70 years old And I said, I got to learn everything there is about AI. And everybody around me, and I live in a community where there's a lot of retired people, and they ask me why. And I say, because it's a challenge. And it's something that I think you could use even when you're 80. So those are the things that really have helped. And I'm not trying to sell your books or anything, but you've helped a great deal for me. So, I've started a thing is get your grilling on. You might have seen on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to get communities to do cookouts every day, Monday through Friday, for the youth that don't have food there in the morning. We're just trying to find ways, getting involved with the elderly and trying to open their minds to I think the media has done a disservice to all of us in that I'm tired of seeing these retirees that are walking on the beach hand in hand, or they're fishing, or they're doing it. Well, if that's what you want to do, great. But they sell a, a picture that everybody think, okay, when I retire, that's what I'm going to be. I'm gonna live in Florida, walk the beach, go fishing, go to restaurants, do it, and that's not really what a lot of people want there. So I'm always telling everybody to, when those commercials come on, turn the TV off from that point. So that's my spiel, and I
Well,
enjoy it ever since I opened up the door on LinkedIn for with Sharon. All of a sudden, I've witnessed all these people that are talking and trying to help people during this transition, the next chapter of your life.
yeah,
And
I've connected with a couple people that are working with the Stanford University Longevity Center.
yeah.
And come to find out, I think the end of this month, one of those guys is going to be here in my community, like a mile away.
Oh wow.
And it sounded like he's running the center, but I'm not sure. So I am looking forward to meeting him. And the the tools that I have out on the Great Discovery platform. Oh no, I was going to say first that I was on a podcast this morning with somebody that has people connecting and working in, I think she said 83 countries.
Wow.
I'm going to be global here in June. she
Wow.
she has seven pillars of seven pillars, oh, to thrive. And she's teaching this in all kinds of different countries and apparently translating them. And she wants me to be on one of the, because she said it's all about the mindset. And so when I told her my story and my um, converting my trauma into courage, I moved down to Tampa, Florida when I was about 71 or 2, I guess. I don't remember. Anyway, they told me, well, before you get homesick and turn around and go home, come home, give it 6 months. And I'm so glad they told me that because I thought I was doing pretty good after 3 months, but by the fourth and fifth month, I had hit the wall and was confused and despondent, I guess. And that's when I stomped my foot and said, I refuse to live my life based on fear. What a huge difference that made. In fact, I have these little art blocks. Yeah, this is one of my favorite.
Oh
Worry
yes.
is a misuse of imagination. Worry is being in a hamster wheel going round and round and round. What if, what if, what if? Yeah, waste of time. So anyway, um, I so the I heard in your comments, George, an element of curiosity and possibility. Is that about right?
Yes. Yeah. Very much so.
So um, that is one of those changes that happen in your mind, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So um, give us just a clue of how your career did it have elements of curiosity and courage too? Or is that something new?
No, I think it always start. I think everybody goes through that point where you're trying to imagine what you want to do for the rest of your life. And I ended up in the hospitality industry. And from there on, I was very fortunate because I was serving all the CEOs and presidents of companies and owners, and I got to serve presidents of the United States. And those were very meaningful because you get to understand how much you can accomplish if you remain curious. And if you're not, then I think you're just stagnant. And you really kind of twit because I was born in Morocco, Africa. So I would like to see what happens in Africa for those people that are reaching retirement. I think it's a whole different picture than here in the United States, or what I possibly think of. But yeah, I think you're if you stop being curious, then I think you're gonna just sit there in front of a TV. And that's it.
Well, in fact, there was a myth going around Boeing that a lot of people put off retiring because they knew they'd be dead in 3 years.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
hurt me in the gut when I heard that. Well, then I
Yeah.
drove Lyft for a year to pay off a debt, and somebody told me in my car that their myth was going around their office, the same thing, and they had nothing to do with Boeing. So that's one of the mindsets, right?
Yep. I think so. I think you either you remain curious and what could be as opposed to what isn't. It's so easy to get negative on yourself and think. I remember when I got out of the hospital and I came home, is that okay, this is it. And I would sit around do nothing. And then I think I had watched you and several other people, and I just got so mad that I changed. And
Healthy
now
anger. Yeah.
I work out 2 times a day, every day. I've lost 40 pounds. I'm just, it's a whole different picture as opposed to, oh, I'm just going to give up. And, there's always that change.
Did you say shame?
Change.
Change. Okay, change. Yeah. We have to choose to change. I'm headed for 100, ladies and gentlemen. I want to be thriving through 100. I saw a picture of a lady. In fact, I think I reposted it on LinkedIn of a lady 117 years old.
Wow. Yeah,
And yet I have my next younger sister has been uh on disability since she was before 40, I think.
wow. That's a shame.
Yeah, so what you believe is very, very important. And um, let's see. Okay, so besides the paycheck, I heard, well, AI, we talking before we started here that I have found from AI what my worth is, because I kind of asked it, where's my message most valuable and who's the audience? I was shocked. And it started opening me up to being a voice to CEOs.
Mm.
I never considered that, but they're the ones that are most hungry to hear.
Mm.
And so I'm looking for people who want to transform and change their life. Hello, is that you? So the place where they said I would be most effective is organizations that are hard pressed for innovation. They feel the pressure of innovation, and their employees are very competent, but they hold themselves back because they're afraid of not being safe, of being pointed out, or ridiculed. There's bullying happening at work.
Mhm.
And if the boss, manager, or the CEO models that behavior, you are not going to be getting the cutting edge innovation that people would dare to share, be vulnerable. And I've lived that feeling invisible my whole career, and I can speak to that, to their, I'm living proof that you can be courageous, and the creativity that happens when you're curious and embrace the possibilities is where it becomes safe for them to share and um, have more of a sense of belonging. I have um, a gentleman here in West Seattle that coaches on belonging, that there's, when I have your back and you have mine. I mean, that's one of the things that George is kind of doing for me, and Dolores has too, just showing up, is the we've got each other. We're in this together. We can help change the world and heal the world if ever there was a time to heal the world. Okay, so Dolores, is anything else bubbling up for you as we talk about what's missing besides a paycheck?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, it's an identity, right? It's
Yeah.
this is who I am in HR, change management, global management, or whatever my title happened to be, and that's not there anymore, right? That's one part of it. And then the other part is the uncertainty of family dynamics, my son moving, we moving, not seeing our grandchildren. There's a piece of that. So when I get together and all these people are together with their grandkids and seeing their grandkids, I feel such a sense of loss, such a sense of I'm missing. I'll never recapture those years. They're getting older. They certainly don't want to be with me. You know what I mean? And so it's a sense of loss. It almost affirms what I believe. Why did I leave? Why did we move? Why? But it was the best thing for us, for my husband and me and our family all together. It's just the dynamics, the family dynamics changing. So it makes me. So I go out and walk. I'll walk for however long my legs will take me, and just pray and ask the Lord to give me guidance and endurance, and He knows what's best for me. And I just not that I'm fatalistic, but that I want him to guide me and help me see the way so that I can deal with each day and in a fruitful and beneficial day, not only for myself, but for the people who are around me.
Yeah, one of the things that Ken mentions in his book, that's really one of the first ones, is how Medicare needs to be rewritten because it's so complicated and just disappointing what all it takes. But another thing was the need for databases of putting the need and the people together. And AARP has done some of that. In fact, they've had some rewards around purpose achievement, kind of, I think was the title of it. And I think I tried to find a couple of those people to be on my podcast when I was doing that uh, before COVID. But um, one of my guests, in fact, was a guy that runs the local Habitat for Humanity shop here. And he informed us that you can bring your RV to a building site, so you have your own bed and help build a house. And I it sounded to me like it was usually about a 6 week progress process. But that might be a little tougher to do in Alaska or Hawaii. But the comfort of actually traveling with your RV that a lot of people like to do on, get to those beaches was also doing something meaningful. And I've seen 3 or 4 posts now on LinkedIn talking about meaning. Well, to me, fulfillment and meaning are pretty similar, but that meaning is going to be missing on the golf course, probably, unless you're, you know, mentoring somebody on the golf course. Um, the whole sharing and inspiring and guiding that our parents did for us is something that we can now do for the people coming behind us. Some of my recovery work from the trauma was knowing that I was helping the people coming behind me and being willing to step up and say, well, in fact, it often happened at first sitting in a conference room with 12, 15 people. And it dawned on me that what needed to be said wasn't being said. People weren't courageous enough to blurt out something that could be um, jeopardizing their career, is sometimes how it was handled. And so I build up my courage by saying, I'm speaking up for at least 4 or 5 other people here in this room.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked. And maybe that's part of what um, we need to realize as boomers, that our experiences are lessons that the younger people can learn from. Um, I'm starting to see a number of, I don't know why, on Facebook I'm getting lots of people that are posting recipes. They're not teaching home ec in school anymore.
No.
They
So
don't? They don't teach that anymore?
it doesn't seem to be. And
Oh,
if we show people, like, what was it? Um, trying to think of how something we use that the young people don't use. And if, like I've been challenging myself, if I lost electricity here and couldn't cook my dinner or use the microwave on the stove, how would that change dinner? You know? Um,
bologna sandwiches.
yeah, I actually picked up some spam earlier this week, and I thought, well, it's not my favorite meal, but if I put a little bit of rice with it and some cold cream of mushroom soup. My favorite snack is actually peanut butter, and that goes on most anything, and celery or rice cakes. Or anyway, there's things we know that we need to pass on to those coming behind us. So, okay, what else is missing besides a paycheck? What were some things you learned because of your career that you might not be doing anymore? Let's use as an example. So, Dolores, you mentioned Word and Apple. You both learned those on your job.
Yes. I think for me it was staying abreast of technology because I worked in Silicon Valley. So everybody knew technology. You had to survive, right? It was part of your job. You had to be ahead of it. And we were always trying to compete with Microsoft. Obviously, we know who won that war, uh, and so we were. I always knew technology, and I remember when I took that job, new to the area, new job, new people, totally different culture from the Midwest. Not that there's anything wrong, but the Midwest was different than the West Coast. And crying and thinking, how am I ever going to learn frame maker and all these other things that they used? And I'm telling my husband, I don't know. He goes, you will, you will. And I did. And so then it became second nature. I just learned it, whatever they came up with, new tools. We had a Sunray that we traveled all over the world with, and you could plug, you didn't take files, you didn't need anything because it all lived in the Sunray. But anyway, having been away from that, and then I took some contract work that I did for quite a while, and I've been away from it now, like I said, like 3 years now, 2 or 3 years, going on 3 years now. I don't stay abreast of it. And even though I try to, anything that is on LinkedIn that's free class, or even some of the Coursera classes and some of the other classes, I try to take them so that I learn, but I don't have that confidence with technology like I did before. So I just need to learn to do it, or do something differently, right? Change direction. Maybe that's not what I need to focus on at this stage of my life. But I would say technology and the camaraderie, right? Every day there's something you learn and you meet someone new. And, because I did global work, I was always working in different parts of the world, literally. So I met new people. Some of them we're still friends after all these years. But I miss that. I miss that interaction. And I'm an extrovert on the Myers-Briggs. I'm an E on the MBTI. So this is hard. It's been a hard transition. Sometimes my husband says, "You'll talk to anybody. You don't want any relationships. You'll just talk to anybody out on the sidewalk or at Walmart or at at the grocery store. I'm never going to see them. So, say hi and talk about something, that's going on." So that's kind of my story, that I miss that camaraderie and that identity.
I've sometimes, I don't know, it's been a long time since I did this, but I've imagined going down to SeaTac and starting conversations with people I'll never see again because you tend to tell them things you wouldn't tell anybody else. And yet, um, in my intuition, my sense of synergy, some magic happens just the same, even at one's occurrence of a conversation at the airport. So, George, what's coming to mind for you?
I was thinking of Dolores, and I remember I was always very active in the Chamber of Commerce in Cincinnati, and I was on the board and everything. But I rejoined the chamber as a retired person, which is really, but I have so much fun at the luncheons because I look for the table with the youngest people and I sit there. And last time we had the meeting, the speaker was on AI, and all of them they were probably 25 to 30 years old or something, and they were bragging how, yeah, we used AI in college, and he wrote my term paper and this and that. And it's wonderful to hear how simple they make it. And that I think helps me overcome that obstacle of, oh wow, AI is scary. I don't know what to do. And so I just decide I go home and push on Copilot and tell it what to do and watch it do it out there. So that, and I think that one of the things that I read about is and what I miss, because I was always involved in something, is being around groups. And for the longest time, after the heart attack and COVID, I would sit home, and not more than a mile away from me is one of the largest YMCA's in the state of Ohio. And we used to be there members when kids were young. So I went over. They have a whole center. It has a swimming pool just for 55 and up, and their own workout rooms. They have a big living room. I go there every Saturday in the morning to. There's a group of guys playing guitar, and I just sit there and listen to them. So you gotta find different groups, I think, to stay involved and stay young, in my opinion, there. And it's fun because I'll walk into the pool area for the locker room, and I'm always some guy. I'll turn around and say, hey, what's up, old guy? I'm saying, and I said, I never thought I'd hear that, but it's good to be back in a group. And then I challenged myself to be in a group of young people because I don't get scared. I just think I've learned faster with them than anywhere else. And it's fun.
Also,
Absolutely, George. They challenge you, right? They challenge you,
Yeah, they
and I,
do. I mean, if I was, I remember back when I first started in the industry, I was too shy to open up. And now I just feel like, well, I think they want to have a sense of what it's like for a 70-year-old to be confronted with AI. Because I would assume a lot of, I know in my neighborhood, there's not one retiree around me that even thought of AI. We're just a different culture here in Cincinnati. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think they challenge you to be at least knowledgeable enough to participate in the conversation and understand what they're saying. Because the girl beside me told me she wrote a Durham paper with AI, and I was just, man, I missed it there. So it's fun to listen to what they do with AI
I
there.
actually, I actually was on a podcast with a 28-year-old in Nepal who programmed, apparently was involved in programming AI.
Wow.
We didn't talk about AI that much, but he was just elated, kind of curious about that I'd used AI some. And so, yeah, there is a curiosity, and curiosity keeps you young. So he, yeah. And what a compliment to me that he wanted to hear me,
Yeah, absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
I think we might be shocked at how many kids, people under 40, feel invisible with all this innovation and working from home. Who knows this anymore? That invisibility is real. And I'm supposed to be in a retreat. I got a coupon to be at a retreat for a week at Rockaway Beach, Oregon, starting on the 22nd.
Wow.
And they said one of the evening sessions we were going to do a talent show, and I've kind of decided I used AI kind of, with I like to use Grok, and I said, give me a 30-minute uh, presentation that I can do um, with how it knows me and the trauma I've been through and all this. And I thought I probably need to narrow it down to maybe 10 minutes. They may not, but I um, I decided I've got a kind of a gauze type, a big gauze scarf. It's a pretty pink. I love the pink that it is, but I'm going to put it over my head and a big hat and look invisible.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And how many people serve and serve and serve and serve and serve other people? And what did they do for themselves?
Mhm.
But the whole healing process of loving yourself, I've been working on the last 4 years or so. And Dolores knows that we've talked about trauma in our loneliness group and how what we've learned from the trauma people is that there's so many of us. Even a car accident can be traumatic. Um, Grief and losing somebody can be traumatic. And
Moving is traumatic.
pardon?
Moving is traumatic.
Yeah, heart attacks are too, huh, George?
But I've moved. I was born in Africa. I've lived almost every state in the United States, and I can sense that moving is. I read where moving is the number one stress of most people, and they don't recognize that it is very stressful there. Just like you said, loneliness. I think I was reading where loneliness is the number one killer of elderly people is loneliness. And that's wow. It's not heart attacks and stuff like that. It's loneliness there. So it's those are real important things.
Well, it dawned on me. It took quite a while for this to really sink in, but I could imagine, this myth of dying in 3 years. I thought, well, that's because you're a couch potato.
Yep.
Oh, it might take 3 years for a couch potato to die.
Yeah.
Reality is, and because we've in the era of TV coming on. My TV doesn't have much color in it, and I thought, yeah, we started out watching black and white TV, didn't we? And then there's so many Hulu and Netflix and all that stuff. The only thing I watch is Wheel of Fortune and Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
And I've even quit watching Hallmark movies, especially if they're fighting. But the I have a book. Boy, this gets to the heart of things. It's called a Napoleon Hill book. It was locked away for 70 years and it's called
Wow.
Outwitting the Devil.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about mostly about fear and how fear holds us back. And that's what the devil wants.
Yeah.
I read it twice and I marked it all up. And I got so I could list the 7 or 8 major fears of getting sick and fears of being old and running out of money and all this kind of stuff, being ridiculed. It's real. It is real. And we're staying young because we're still learning and being curious. And
Yeah.
that sense of distraction is still possible. I'm starting to get better about not being distracted. But you know, all these videos, just a minute or 200 times a day, waste your day. So
Absolutely.
closing comments. We've got about 3, 4 minutes here. Oh, I wanted to let's see if I show my screen again, because I want to mention what's coming that I'm working on and it's not quite ready yet. But I did work on a Spark audit. uh, how invisible are you? And if that's you and those that are listening to this, you need to email me or put something in LinkedIn, especially that if you give me your email, my audit isn't quite ready yet. It's one of those things I needed to allow myself more time to learn, because I was surprised at how AI is trying to help me quickly, but I got to read that print and figure out what to do. And it was getting late last night, and I finally just closed the computer. But I've got about 7 or 8 questions about how invisible might you be feeling, and give you an idea for a next step. And then I'm I'm kind of planning on working in the next month to 6 weeks, maybe creating a Fresh Courage collective that meets either monthly or biweekly, a community that talks about what's possible. There's that curiosity factor, that we want to start um, focusing on more what's possible, and use our curiosity. So if you'd like to know as we go along, you probably stir up some curiosity about being a part of a community that you're learning from each other, and we'll do like Zoom or maybe even LinkedIn Live on just considering what's possible. And eventually, there may be people that are ready to transform their future and they want to stop fading and start impacting. And I'm going to limit that to 6 or 8 people, maybe 12 at the most, and offer that. Um, uh, we could do a VIP where we're just taking a weekend to get it all done. or a 6-week program. So this is just to kind of inform you of what I'm chewing on and preparing for. And I'm delighted at how my audience is growing on LinkedIn because I'm sharing real stuff. This morning, this group I was on the podcast with, they are wanting me to post 3 times a day my little art blocks.
There you go.
I don't know that I'm ready to do 3 times a day, but at least it because there's something about how our brain processes beauty. And that's one of my values, I think, is beauty. And I I believe that heaven wants to come to earth. And heaven, you see heaven in flowers, don't you? You know, in artwork and that kind of thing. So um, the the more we focus on the good, the beauty, the possibility, um, we're all going to be better citizens, better neighbors, and better helping to create a better world. So, thank you for being here today. I love that you showed up and that we can have this conversation. And there's people um, knocking on my door as far as helping me massage some of these principles into clips, and we'll maybe start working on that soon too. So, any
Good.
closing words?
Yeah, I still think you need to be on AARP.
Oh, yeah. Well, that might be a good place for my feeling invisible story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just you want to reach people, and I can't think of a better publication that reaches a lot of the groups that you need, and I feel sorry that it doesn't seem to be. I know they do Purpose for Life or some of these articles, but I don't think they've ever touched on, like you say, and it would be unique if it was a monthly article or a monthly, like you do in a blog, but you do an article or something.
Mhm.
I just think that being selfish, here I'm 70 and finally learning all this. When I looked at my wife the other night and I said, where has all this been? I read a lot. I'm in everything, and I never seen so much as I do now there. So that's my last statement.
Okay. You can check on me every month about how am I doing on writing that AARP article.
There you go.
AI might be able to do it for me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for being here. Love it.
Thank you.
Have a
And all,
great weekend. Nice
thank you.
meeting
You
you,
too.
George, and good to see you,
Hey,
Sharon.
good love. I love that picture behind you.
Oh,
This
thank
one,
you.
Yeah.
tulips. Our tulips aren't quite blooming. They're pretty close. I have 3 on my patio here that look pretty pathetic, but we're getting a lot of rain these days, so
Oh, that.
they're
Yeah,
doing
the
good.
daffodils are coming up here. They're just beautiful. I think they're daffodils that come out between winter and spring, and they're
Our
just
daffodils
coming up.
started in end of January. A daffodils started showing up, and they're still
No,
blooming.
they are.
In
Oh,
Texas, they last 2 or 3 days.
yeah. Oh, I can't
Oh,
wait till spring. I'm like 3 more days or 8 more days or whatever. I'm just like, please come soon.
Yep.
was it?
Bye,
Good.
everyone. Have a blessed weekend.